so what's happening in the papers? I have the Mirror, and the front page says, Inside Stephanie Benson's Wardrobe, and exploring DIY interior decor. We'll be doing a bit of that today, right?
Yeah.
And then girl 15 gives birth to stepfather's child, seeks refuge outside home, braces craze, style over safety. Oh, I've seen that trending a lot, and I think I saw a TikTok video, but we'll get more into that. On the back page of the Mirror, it has Simone Biles, and you know she's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Won a lot of gymnastic awards at the Olympics.
She's a record holder, really.
Yeah. In the Daily Graphic Weekend Special, we have Emotional Journey marks Emancipation Day. Africans in diaspora urged to invest in homeland. And there's a picture of Andrew Ejapa-Mensah, Minister of Tourism, paying homage to Dasibre Kwebu Ewusi VII. He's the Omahine of the Abaze traditional area. I think there was a Durban then. 2024 artisanal inshore fishing ban lifted. They must be excited about that. Yagbongra lifts ban on Abu Jenapo. And on the back page, you have Paris Olympics, Azamati Saminu Chase Sprints Glory. They're the only ones who we have left to see if we can advance. And then there's a real estate seminar on the back.
On the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper with me, Ganasco student shoots colleague, story on page 6 of the newspaper. Also on the front page, fire guards 40 shops in Kwadaso. The big news story on the front page, though, comes with a photograph of the EC chair, Jean Mensah. Election 2024, EC releases independent aspirants guidelines. And here's where the issues will be, because you just get a sense that maybe a couple might drop, right? So the story is that the EC releases independent aspirants guidelines. I'll bring viewers excerpts of that story later on. And also Yagbon Rural lifts ban on Jenapo. The Ghana Journalists Association is also on the front page. That's they inaugurate the 28th award committee. Back page stories, FIFA boss Keto Kreku, FIFA boss and GFA President Keto Kreku discuss football development related issues. And also Nungwa Cold Store secures Betway Hoops trophy again. And finally, Carlo Ancelotti. Some people arguably say one of the greatest managers of all times. He's been saying that Real Madrid will be his last club. Interesting. On to the Spectator newspaper. It comes along with an interesting story on the front page, page 3. It says, vagina steaming detrimental to health. And this coming from a medical officer. So we'll be giving viewers excerpts of that story too as well. And also, Mrs. Adjoa Frimpoma Nimako Boateng, who was the toast of the guest at the last Friday's Ghana Executive Officers Awards held at Kempinski Hotel in Accra. I think there's a profile personality check on her. Mrs. Adjoa Frimpoma Nimako Boateng. She was at the Ghana Chief Executive Officers Award held at Kempinski somewhere last week, Friday. So, also some Olympic stories on the back page of the Spectator. Better times ahead for Harry Stacey. Ghana's really, I think even though he didn't finish where he wanted to, he had an impressive showing at the Olympics. For the first time, I think he really did the country proud. And also athletes on their marks at Athletics Ross of today at Paris 2024. Any stories you have for us?
Yes. So in page 6. Oh, I just closed it. Let me look for that. But in page 6 of the Mirror, the cover story, braces craze, style over safety. It also expands to page 27. So I don't know if there's a TikTok video that I saw of somebody sitting, I don't know where, in some random place, and some guy was fixing braces on her teeth.
Oh, yeah.
So he used glue.
Yeah, I've seen that thing. It's like a new trend. So it's not only fixing braces. I understand he also does, or people engaged in similar acts also go around cleaning teeth and professing all sorts of solutions for tooth-related issues.
And people actually trust them to do that to their teeth. Can you imagine?
I know.
So It says style over safety, and a bit of the story reads, dental braces have become a fashion accessory for many people
Exactly.
without recommendation from dentists. And the braces used by dentists to align, straighten, and properly position teeth are being fitted on the streets and in kiosks in different colors and styles by self-styled dentists, even for people who do not need them and have never consulted a professional dentist. So some use super glue to fix the fake braces. You know, traditional braces involve brackets and wires, usually made out of metal, and then at a point in time, they'll just, you know, tune it to make sure that your teeth are formed properly. But the fake braces, although they look alike, the products that try to imitate the appearance of the real, they're not the same thing. And clear braces are much less noticeable than traditional metal braces. Some individuals may choose colors that complement their teeth. But so these people sit at random places and they use these braces that, you know, you don't know where they're coming from.
You see, the problem is largely due to what you read early on in the first paragraph of the story, where it says that it's become more commonly associated with the fashion trend than for its health reasons, right? And it's so unfortunate that a lot of the time we seem to always have misplaced priorities when it comes to what we describe as fashion, right? So somebody needs the braces because of a tooth problem, a growth problem in the tooth. And we've sort of some way someone misconstrued it to mean a fashion statement. You know the funny thing, this conversation came up on the X platform, Twitter, some time ago, where somebody was saying that it's a sign. So like they posted, you know the thing they do about starter packs. So like a DB or a Dadaba starter pack. So then they have braces, then they have growing up with a DSTV at home, and they have an asthma inhaler. I wonder, how are you connecting the dots to say that if somebody has braces on growing up, if the person had braces on growing up, or the person had an inhaler growing up, then it means that the person came from a rich household. It makes no sense.
Then, you know, getting braces is very, very, very expensive.
I think it's still expensive if you want to get it done properly and professionally, exactly.
By a dentist.
Yeah. Let me just bring our viewers a little bit of politics, because the EC have released the independent aspirants guidelines. Story on page 3 of the Daily Guide. The Electoral Commission has directed prospective independent candidates or their representatives to submit a letter of introduction in order to obtain their passwords at the Commission's office. A statement issued and signed by the Deputy Chair of the Commission, Samuel Tete, said the letter should be addressed to the chairperson of the EC at its headquarters in Accra to enable them have access to the password to download the nomination forms from the Commission's website. It therefore asked prospective candidates or their representatives to contact Samuel Dotokwa, who is the Deputy Director in charge of Electoral Services, while urging the public to comply accordingly. According to the law, candidates of the presidential election must be nominated using the official nomination forms of the EC. These completed forms must be signed by the candidate themselves and by at least 2 registered voters from each district assembly in Ghana. The story goes on to state the nomination dates. So nomination opens on September 9. Earlier, the EC announced it will open nominations for the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections on Monday, September 9, 2024. A statement issued and signed by the Deputy Chairperson of the EC in charge of operations, Samuel Tete, disclosed that the nominations will close on Friday, September 13, 2024. Edo, can you guess how much they are paying?
10,000 Ghana cedis.
They're like, we would have all gone to contest for the president.
50,000 Ghana cedis.
They are paying 100,000, right? So it is said the filing fee for the presidential candidates is pegged at 100,000 Ghana cedis, with a reduced fee of 75,000 for female candidates and persons with disabilities, in accordance to the 2020 public elections regulations. So yeah, there you have it. 100,000 for presidential, 75,000 for female and persons with disabilities. I mean, so like the story says, the guidelines are out for independent. Yeah, so these are people who are hoping to contest an election without appearing on the ticket of a recognized political party. And I mean, in the coming days, we'll see quite a number of them. I mean, top of my head, I've seen
movements for change.
Over 10 independent aspirants, right? So you have Cheddar, because we don't know him to be moving on, okay, the new force, but I don't think they're registered as a political party.
No.
Even Alan Kojo Tremantin, I think his Movement for Change is not also registered as a political party. So then you'll have to be an independent candidate. You can talk of the likes of Sam Ankara, who Bernard interviewed on the show. Quite a number of them. There's
the Yellow Party is
Kofi Palu and all of these guys.
All of these guys.
I'm sure they'll all show up again in the election cycle. But yeah, that's the story from the EC. I know, let me bring this tragic story as well on page 6 of the Daily Guide newspaper, because a Ghana school student has shot the colleague, and tragic story. You wonder why some of these things are still happening in our SHSs. So Abubakar Abdul Majid, a 20, a final year student of the Ghana Senior High School, Ghana School in Tamale, in the Northern Region, is in the grips of the Northern Regional Police Command, for allegedly shooting the colleague student. Information available indicates that the suspect collected a gun from a colleague to pose for a photo shoot when the gun accidentally discharged and injured another student, one Abdullah Abdul Somed. The victim, who sustained gunshot wounds on the arm, was rushed to the Tamale Teaching Hospital for treatment. However, the suspect has since been arrested by the senior housemaster, one Moses Amegache, and handed over to the police. Wow, so the story here is that it wasn't deliberate. They were posing for photos. And you can imagine boys who have come across
with what?
With a gun. With
Where
live
did
bullets.
you get the gun?
It makes no sense. You see, and it goes.
Many questions.
It goes back to the issue about discipline in our
senior high
schools. I mean, you listen to the minister, they say they've come up with what they call the Dean of Discipline in all senior high schools in the country, basically to check and make sure stuff like this do not happen. But what do we see in the news day in, day out? We keep reporting on gross acts of misconduct and indiscipline and recklessness, like this particular incident in Ghana School that has led to the loss of life of a student. I mean, commiserations with the family of the deceased.
Of this disease. But
so unfortunate.
So many questions come to mind. Where did they get the gun from?
Exactly.
Why was it accessible to them?
So easily. Like a live loaded gun. It makes absolutely no sense.
I think they need to investigate, and I'm sure they will. In the middle of the, well, actually not in the middle, but the page 12 of the Mirror, exploring DIY interior decor. We'll be doing a bit of that today on the show. And so if you have old crates, LED strip lights, old car tires, bottles, you don't necessarily have to throw them away. So
tell me more.
Yeah, if you read the Mirror, page 12 and 21, you'll see that, so the old crates are being used for tables and sofas, LED strip lights at vantage points to help set the mood. Old car tires can be revamped into chairs and tables, and the bottles that I was talking about can be transformed into flower vases or aquariums. So yeah, if you have old stuff that you feel you don't know what to do with it, there's a DIY section that you can look at in the Mirror, and you can see what you can do with your things that you think you might have to throw away.
Have you come across what they call vagina steaming before?
Yes, I've actually heard about it, and it was something that our parents used to do, and it's actually encouraged.
It's actually encouraged.
Well, back then it was encouraged, especially after you have a child, like after you birth a baby.
Wow. Well,
yeah, so why is the doctor saying it's not good? I'm interested in that story.
Specialist obstetrician, gynecologist, Dr. Karen Renee Zhu, has cautioned women who engage in vagina steaming to put an end to it because it could be detrimental to their health. She goes on to say the practice has gained more prominence among women who have given birth through the normal way or want to heal quickly from the cesarean scar more quickly. Others also engage in the act to cure ovarian related issues, fibroid, blocked tubes, and to deal with menstrual cramps and detoxify the vagina, among others.
Right.
This is usually done by mixing various herbs which are boiled or soaked in hot water, which a woman is made to sit on naked to enable the steam go directly into the vagina. According to Dr. Zhu, there was no need to steam the vagina after the birth because the blood vessels of the womb could open up, and as a result of the blood vessels could of the womb could open up as a result of the heat and cause bleeding to death. Wow, so it has very fatal consequences.
That's quite interesting because it's been passed on from generation to generation. I've seen lots of women, even in other jurisdictions, there are now vaginal steaming places. You can go, they'll put these herbs in warm water, you sit on it, and apparently it cleanses your vagina, it tightens the walls, it makes it nice and clean and smells good and all of that.
Pure, palpable falsehoods, really, because the story goes on to say, this is a specialist obstetrician, gynae. The story goes on to say, steaming your vagina will not tighten it. It will not in any way balance your hormones.
Okay.
These two do not go together. She also denied claims that the vaginal steaming shrank fibroid, explaining that fibroids were very hard and could not be shrunk by vaginal steaming. So, yeah, I mean, interesting story. But you get a sense that it's a very popular.
It is a popular thing, and I
yeah.
wouldn't mind us having a gynae here one day to discuss it, because I'm
Maybe
sure people are in their homes saying that.
We should talk to Dr. Kalsum. We should talk to Dr. Kalsum.
You know, when
Zakaria.
sometimes a doctor will tell you something like, Dr. What can so because I'm telling you,
yeah, but
so many
once it's
people
not medically proven, then you don't want to be engaged in it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I
but
mean,
then it's been passed down from generations to generations.
Well, but the science doesn't support it.
Science never
And some headline stories on the citynewsroom.com, because the Commander Sugar Factory lease is up in the news, and the story is that Ghana to receive over $1 million yearly, and this is attributed to the trade minister, the Minister of Trade and Industry. Also on the front or the main portal page of the citynewsroom.com, remain at post until all issues are resolved. GTEC tells UCC Vice Chancellor. Another suit filed against COP Yohunu's appointment as Deputy IGP, and Parliament unaware of plans to lease Commander Sugar Factory. These are some of the big news stories on the front page or on the main portal page of the citynewsroom.com. Kwaraso Municipal Assembly pledged support for fire victims is also up there. Any story of interest for us, Eno?
Oh, yes, definitely. The affirmative action bill has been passed by Parliament.
Yeah, hooray! And
I'm saying that, kudos to
everybody who's had a
Parliament.
role to play. Previous gender ministers, advocates within the space. Exactly. Professor Techiwa.
It's been a long time coming.
And of course, the current minister herself, of course, you might argue that a lot of the work started before she came into office.
Yeah.
But I think that since assuming role as Minister of Gender and Social Protection, I think Honorable Dakwa Newman, who is also Member of Parliament for Okaikwe South, shown a lot of commitment and a lot of effort to get this passed. And it's not really surprising that it was during her era or during her tenure as minister that she saw this pass. I saw her recently at the Public Accounts Committee also talking about other issues. But hey, I think it's big. Congratulations to the minister and to all stakeholders really in the space, advocates really, people who worked day and night tirelessly to ensure that this was realized.
The president to assent to the bill.
I think he would assent to the bill. I think
we are waiting patiently to see that because it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, because the lobbying, I can imagine the work that has gone into putting together this bill.
From so many parliaments that this bill has been presented to, but finally, we'll wait to see if President Akufo-Addo, will assent to it.
Wow, some unfortunate news again in Kwaraso because fire got 40 shops in Kwaraso, and you wonder when would this end, right? Because not too long ago we had to deal with a fire situation in Circle. Near
I think Philip covered that story.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the place again.
Yeah, it raised down, a lot of
the
structures.
tiptoe lane, right? And not too long ago also we had to deal with fire in and around the KJTL market, Accra Central itself. So you wonder, are these like deliberate? Are these like some arsonists inside somewhere causing mayhem, or is just blatant disregard for safety protocols, fire protocols that leads to this? Because 40 shops, and you get a sense that people have lost their livelihoods, people have lost a lot of money, right? Because if their goods are in there and everything is being burnt, you wonder how they are going to survive for the remaining or in the coming months and in the coming weeks.
And you know,
It's so unfortunate.
each time this happens, the fire service says that they barely get access to the points of fire to deal with it because there's always something preventing their entry into the market. And this one,
Because we don't plan our
Assemblyman
cities properly.
agreed that yes, traders had blocked the entry into the market, so they couldn't bring their truck inside. So it took them a while. So another reason why it was able to raise down 40 shops, including everything inside. So it's very sad. One woman was crying when we played that.
Of course you'd cry. I know.
Because she's lost everything. And as usual, authorities will go and you know, go.
And I couldn't find
tell them
at the point I
everything.
couldn't find my 200 CD note.
You were crying. Don't tell me that you were crying.
I didn't cry, but all was not well. All was clearly not well.
Because that is actually quite a lot of money.
So you can imagine what it will be like
to lose lots of money.
Your
and as
your
usual,
livelihood,
they
really.
say they went for loans, and I'm sure they don't have insurance either.
We
Most
need
of
to
them
find
don't,
we need to
so.
find lasting solutions to these intermittent fire issues in these public spaces and in these shopping centers. It makes no sense that up until this point we still have to deal with issues like these. I mean, our sincere condolences to all those who lost property and who lost their goods as a result of this fire.
Before we go though, some Paris Olympics news.
Tell me more.
Azamati Saminu Chase Sprint Glory.
Exactly.
Day 2 of the athletics competition, and you know, we're hoping that these guys do something because Rose and Harry Stacy were unfortunately, you know, kicked out. So we hope that they can do something at the Paris Olympics for us this time.
Definitely. And while we are talking about them, we also hope the authorities will be minded to invest properly in athletics in this country because...
They'll give the money to the Black Stars. Let's not go there because if we go there, we'll be pissed. No, we'll start talking about sports that will never end.
I know, right? I know, because it's personal, right? I mean, you look at the disregard, right? And sometimes you wonder why the priorities are just completely misplaced. But some way, somehow, when it's time for tournaments, we expect them to automatically qualify and we expect the highest standards possible. Look at Rosieba, for example, our high jump, who unfortunately also didn't make the 1.92 height. Up until the African Games, from the African Games competition, where she won a medal up until the Olympics, can you imagine that there was no competition for her? There was no proper training mechanism put in place, and all of a sudden we're expected to win an Olympic gold. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work like that.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's what's trending in the news. And if you want more news, you can always log on to ChannelOneNews.com. Channel One with the digits 1 and CityNewsOnline.com. We'll be right back.